Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Covenant House International's 2025 Pride Month panel, Scene, Our Strides for Pride. At a time when LGBTQIA2S+ youth are being pushed to the margins by harmful legislation, hostile rhetoric, and the stripping away of human rights, we are here today to affirm something simple and powerful. You belong. Pride at Covenant House isn't just a month. It's a practice. It's in every pronoun respected, every safe bed offered, every chosen family formed. And today, we honor that practice by hearing from some of the brilliant and bold young people who once came to us for refuge, and who now stand as living proof of what's possible when dignity, care, and community come together. You'll meet Marcel, a drag performer and community advocate. Mark, a Jamaican-born cook with a passion for feeding bodies and souls. And Dash, a fierce young leader from Alaska healing generational pain through advocacy and artistry. Let's begin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marcel. I use they, them pronouns, and I am so grateful to be here with you all today. I'm a drag performer, a theater nerd, a Covenant House alum, and a proud, unapologetic, non binary Black human being. I always say I didn't just grow up, I fought my way into existence. And pride is proof that I'm still standing. I was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, but I grew up in a tiny town tucked in the hills, raised by my adoptive parents after my twin sister and I entered the foster care system as babies. We were loved, but I was always different. Loud, curious, obsessed with books and show tunes, more interested in sequins than sports. By middle school, I'd already been hospitalized for my emotions, not because I was broken, but because nobody around me knew exactly how to hold what I was carrying. And by the age of 19, I was out of my house, out of options, and eventually out on the street. I had no money, no safety net, just a binder of sheet music, and a heart that still somehow believed New York City was where I was meant to be. I eventually bought a one-way bus ticket to New York, slept wherever I could, showers were rare, and food was even rarer. And when it got too dangerous to fake it any longer, I walked into a shelter hoping for a bed. And that shelter was Covenant House. Now, let me tell you, uh, when you're a tall, extremely tall queer kid of color in the shelter system, you learn pretty fast how to shrink yourself and you get good at being invisible. But at Covenant House, they saw me. They saw past the pain, past the pronouns. They made space for the artist, for the advocate, and for me. And that was the start of everything. They connected me to therapy. They let me sing. They asked me who I wanted to be, not just how I got there. And I started to find the answer. Today, I perform in drag. I tell my story on stages and screens, and I speak out, especially for the LGBTQIA 25+ youth who are still waiting for someone to say, you deserve to be here. Because, let's be honest, the world right now is not always kind to queer youth, especially not Black and brown queer youth, especially not trans and non-binary youth. We are still fighting to exist, to be seen, and to be safe. So to anyone listening who works in this movement, funds this mission, or walks beside our young people, don't just celebrate Pride, protect it. Make space in your programs, learn the pronouns and the vernacular, interrupt the homophobia and transphobia. Put your money, your time, and your voice where your rainbow logo is. And to the young person who might be watching this, maybe in a shelter room right now, I'm speaking directly to you. And I want you to know you are not too much. You are not too broken. And you are not alone. You are a masterpiece in motion. And when the world tries to dim your light, be your own spotlight. I mean every word of that. And if there's one person who's been my spotlight, even in my personal darkest of times, it's the friend I made at Covenant House exactly a decade ago. From our first conversation, I knew Mark saw me, not just as I was, but as I could be. And now I get to introduce him not just as my best friend, but as someone who embodies quiet strength, deep loyalty, and what it means to live out loud. Here's Mark Nation.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Nation. I am 30 years old. I am proud to say I am a Covenant House, New York alum. I am also a proud Jamaican. As of July 2023, 2 years ago, I became a proud citizen. It's been a journey, one I've never imagined being shared on a panel like this. But I'm grateful I get to, because every time I tell my story, I remember that I survived it. And I remember that there's a young person out there who might need to hear this. Sorry. A young person out there who might need to hear it to believe they can do too. I grew up in Mandeville, Jamaica, strict upbringing, church, school, home, repeat. I knew from early on I was different, but it wasn't safe to say it out loud, not where I was. So I stayed quiet and followed the rules until the day came when I had to leave everything I knew. At 19, I moved to Missouri to live with my father. We didn't have a relationship, and being there made me feel invisible all over again. Eventually, I ended up in New York with an aunt, but that situation did not last either. I was 20, homeless, alone, and honestly, I was exhausted. I was doing a GED program and I shared what I was going through with my teacher. She gave me a list of places I could try. One of them was Covenant House. The moment I walked through those doors, I felt the weights on my shoulders get lighter. At Covenant House, I found listening ears. I found a team of people who actually saw me, not as a problem, not as a stereotype, just as a young man trying to figure it all out. I found my best friend, Marcel, right there. 10 years strong now, that's chosen family. And when you've been rejected, dismissed, or made to feel like you don't belong, chosen family becomes everything. Covenant House gave me the tools I needed to grow into the man I am now. I learned how to carry myself in interviews, how to stay on top of my bills, how to advocate for myself in a room that weren't built for me. Now I live in Manhattan in a apartment Covenant House helped me to secure. I worked at a nonprofit organization community center in Washington Heights as a head cook, and I love to cook, so that's a blessing. I live my life out loud now. I go to the pier just to watch water. I take long walks in Central Park. I go to the museums. I surround myself with people who reminded me I am not invisible and who never make me feel like I have to shrink. But let's be real for 1 second. Not everyone get that chance. In a country where LGBTQ plus youth, especially black and brown, are being criminalized just for existing, safe spaces like Covenant House matters more than ever. Because where I come from, nobody is kicked out at age 18, But here, too many of our young people are being forced out of their home simply for being themselves. That's not just being wrong, it's violent and it's happening every day. So when I say Covenant House changed my life, I don't mean it lightly. I always I was always determined, but Covenant House helped me to get to the finish line faster, with support, with care, and with dignity. To the young people listening, don't rush. Take your time, find your people, and know that there is no shame in starting over. To our supporters, what you're doing is not charity. It's not, it's not charity, it's justice. You're building a world where we don't just survive, we thrive. As for me, I'm still dreaming. I want to travel the world one day, speaking up for young people like me, homeless, gay, and full of potential. I want to own a home, maybe start something of my own, and I want to keep giving back, hopefully with Covenant House by my side. Thank you for seeing me today, for hearing me, and for standing up for all of us who've ever been told we didn't belong. Happy Pride, and thank you, Marcel, for always being family. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Mark. Now I have the privilege of introducing a young woman whose strength, brilliance, and leadership inspire me deeply. Dash reminds us that sometimes the journey to yourself means walking away from comfort and into something uncertain, but choosing yourself anyway. From Anchorage, Alaska, please welcome Dash.
Thank you so much, David. How do I go after all of that? Like, let me just take a minute to really sit with Marcel and Mark's story because yes, it definitely hit a nerve for me personally. But Talafalava, everyone. My name is Dash. I use she, her, sunger pronouns, and I'm joining you from Anchorage, Alaska, the land of the it's called also called Titicacacac, but it's also the land of the indigenous Denaina people at last. Denaina Athabascan people as well. I am an alumni of Covenant House, Alaska, a small business owner, a proud cutie pie or queer trans-Pacific Islander woman, and a fierce Samoan who chooses to live boldly and unapologetically. Being queer wasn't really something that was welcome with my family at the time. There came a moment where I had to make a choice, right? I had to make a choice if I to choose between my family's reputation and their happiness or my own truth and my own happiness, right? That decision really just led me to leave home, leave everything that I was comfortable with. And it was the hardest choice I had to make because every as a Pacific Islander, we're very family oriented. We live in multi-generational homes. So leaving my cocoon and my safe quote unquote what was my safe space at the moment was definitely a hard journey that I'm grateful for now, right? But it was also really just the beginning of something that was so much bigger than I could ever imagine. I found Covenant House, Alaska, through my English professor at the University of Alaska Anchorage. She really saw that I was in an unsafe situation and then reached out to find support right, for me, right? And the next thing I knew, I was standing in Covenant House's lobby thinking, oh, this looks nice. I was like, okay, this is like a program, and I didn't even realize it was a homeless shelter, youth shelter, until like a month and a half later. We were having a volunteer barbecue, and then I was kind of like voluntold to speak on behalf of the young people that were there, and one of the volunteers said, Dash, you do know that this is a shelter, right? And I just looked at her and I was like, I did not know that. I thought it was just in a program, but it didn't, like, my stereotypical thought of what a shelter looks like or what it was, quote unquote, supposed to be like was definitely not the space that I was like thriving in, right? So I was really shocked, like generally shocked. And then I remember Allison, who was the CEO, laughing and saying, "Well, I guess we're doing something right if Dash did not know she was staying in a shelter for like a month and a half, right? So like, yes, checkbox. And then that moment really like stuck with me only because that's what made Come to House different for me, right? It didn't feel like a shelter. It felt like safety, and it felt like someone was finally saying or telling me that I belong, right? Like I'm not different. I'm unique in my own way, but I also belong in this space and with the people that I'm around. And for someone like me who had to like walk away from my family to really, like come out of my cocoon in a sense, it meant everything to just be in that space, to hear that, and to actually have people see me for me and nothing else, right? And I always knew that I wanted to help people, but I just didn't know how. I didn't know how I was going to do that. But I did. If I felt strongly that, okay, I think my purpose in this world is to help people. But during my time at one of the programs, which is the Rites of Passage program at Covenant House, my case manager introduced me to the Anchorage Youth Task Force, or the Youth Action Board, and at the time, right? And it was something that clicked in my head, and I was like, oh wait, hold on, like there's so much power in just young people coming together and just sharing and being themselves, that I really just leaned into being part of that youth action board, right? So I stopped just showing up and I started speaking up, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. I guess I can speak on behalf of, and I can share a little bit of my experience here and there. And really that's where all of my youth advocacy journey started, is from like facilitating those youth action board meetings to hosting events to like public speaking and gathering community. And now I am currently a board member of Covenant House Alaska, and I also work for Youth Collaboratory, which is an organization that supports grantees across the US with youth programming. So just making sure that young people are at the front and center of all the decisions being made in those youth programs. And it's just a full circle moment for myself for sure as well. So definitely proud, definitely taking this space to kind of reflect at the same time, because I'm like, sometimes we kind of just keep like go, and then kind of forget to pause and just reflect and, just sit with what's happening in the moment and where you've gone and how far you've come, right? So definitely appreciate this space for me personally to do that as well. And honestly, the most meaningful part of that whole journey for me was reconnecting it with my family, right? So right now I'm reconnecting with my family. We're opening up, where we're building our connections and learning to really understand each other again. And of course, it's not perfect, but it's real, and it's a step that we all needed to take. So one step at a time, like that break or that long distance from my family definitely helped, but we're in a better place now. So I'm really grateful for that as well. And also, when we talk about pride, this is what it means for me. It's being able to live my truth authentically and being able to walk away from harm into healing, but also being able to say that this is me and I love who I am and the person that I'm becoming. So, to any young person who feels torn between your identity and your safety, I see you and I love you. Like I've been you, so you are not a problem to fix. You are a story that's still being written, just like all of us that are on this panel as well. And to the folks who support Covenant House, thank you for creating the space for people like me to really discover who we're meant to be, right? And thank you. I thought I was really walking into like just a program, but it turned out to be another home. Like it was a home away from home. And I'm very grateful for Covenant House for that. Fatsai Lava, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Dash. That was powerful and beautifully said. And thank you again, Marcel and Mark, for anchoring us in truth and courage. So now I'm excited to spend some time together with y'all to dig in a little deeper with what you've shared And so to do that, I have some questions for all of us to get us going. And so the first is, and I'm going to expand on it a little more, is, what does pride mean to you? And has that meaning of pride changed for you over the years? And, especially now in 2025, what does it mean? And Dash, you were saying a little bit about pride as you were wrapping up there. So if you want to get us going on this one and sort of open it up more, please start us off.
For sure. Well, like I said, as a Samoan woman, a proud Samoan woman at that, pride really means honoring like the strength, the beauty, and resilience that my culture, like of my culture, but also embracing my full self without shame, right? I'm Samoan first before my any other identities come after, right? And it's also reclaiming like the space for queer and gender diverse like Pacific voices that have always existed in our villages and our stories. So I'm living through my ancestors and really just grounding myself in all of the things, right? And pride is also resisting silence and colonial erasure by standing tall in both my culture and my queer identities. Like there's so much history in my Pacific Islander community that has been lost and has been erased. That yeah, we're here. We're not going anywhere. So, and honestly, pride to me, it means like loving myself loudly for my ancestors, for my community, and really for all of the people that are still trying to find their voices as well. So, yeah, like we don't like a month is okay, cool. Like we can celebrate Pride for a month, but I'm celebrating myself all in all hours, all day of the month of the year, every day. So yeah, and that is that. So
I love that. And I think you bring up the really important piece that like pride is intersectional. Like it's about celebrating all of us in the moment, with who we are in all of that. Marcel, I was wondering if you wanted to jump in and bring your drag perspective into this a little.
What? Oh gosh. It's definitely layered. The meaning of pride, at least to me, has changed throughout the years because, my first experience with being able to walk into this community was such a culture shock. I'm from a very conservative, very small town, so accurate representation just wasn't something I was accustomed to. So being a little scared and a little intimidated by people living as authentically and being visibly queer was scary, but also extremely exhilarating because you could feel I'm going to call them waves of love and acceptance and inclusion, like everywhere. And specifically speaking about Pride Month, in the city of New York, it vibrates. No matter what borough you're in, you can feel that something is coming. And I think that, especially as a drag performer, it's our biggest booked time of year. So rent's paid all the way up until September, sometimes November, December. But that's working every day, and that's finding a way to channel the authentic side of yourself that's outside of the hair and makeup and costumes, that feels true to yourself, but also leaves an impactful, I don't know the word I want, just leaves a piece of you with the people that get to see your performances, that get to interact with you, that are long lasting. And that's something that I pride myself in. I don't just go to a venue and do a show. I go to the venue and I give them a piece of myself to leave with, in the hopes that that piece of me that I left comes back and I get to give them a new piece. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And it makes me think of just, Pride should be year round, right? Like it shouldn't just be a month, but it does give us this like influx of opportunity to give those pieces of pride out to hopefully charge folks, beyond June when they don't have the ability to access this as much. So, I'm really glad that your artistry is out there to give that to folks so they're able to access it. And Mark, I want to give you a chance to jump in. What does pride mean to you?
Pride means self-aware to me. Love, accepted, community, coming together and showing each other support. You know, I didn't know what it meant to be openly gay until Marcel and I we hang out. Then after that, it's like all hell break loose. I'm sorry, but yeah, it was a eye opener for me. So pride, it really means acceptance and being loved and support. Yeah.
And what I'm hearing you say is like pride is what it gives us the chance to build each other up. Like
Yes.
pride is the our growth and echo chamber almost. I love that. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you two found each other.
I think it's important to mention too, Mark, and I'm going to call you out on this one. When we first met each other, can you like quickly explain like, and it is important. It's talking your initial reactions to seeing somebody like myself being extremely visibly queer and your thoughts about that at first, not having experienced that before.
Well, coming from Jamaica, I don't know of any like gay guys that was, open like Marcel was loud and like this. Because my country is my country, they're very much homophobic. It's very much illegal to be openly gay. So me meeting Marcel, at first I was like, I can't stand this because I can't I couldn't wrap my head around this. And that's why I say you was the first person that introduced me to this lifestyle. I know in myself I was, but I just wanted someone to let me experience more of this. So with Marcel, they let me they take me to the first drag show. So I was introduced to drag from a drag queen. And I don't watch Marcel glow up. This glow up now is not compared to what it was back then. So this is a Marcel 2.0.
Come through growth. Okay.
I think the reason why I really wanted to bring that up is because, again, like you said, like you were not able to experience it, and I was still trying to figure out who I was and where I was meant to be. So to see and kind of hear you be like, you were my first experience to queer authenticity and loud queer authenticity. It's always a conversation that I like having other people hear, because not everybody has that, where I might not have had it, I might not have understood it, but because I was able to have constructive conversations and get to witness growth and rebirth and just this reinvention of your identity allowed me to then live in my authenticity. It's a great jump starter. So thanks, Mark.
Yeah, I also think that I helped Marcel to discover a certain part of them, and Marcel also helped me in that part. So it's vice versa.
100%. And I think it's super interesting that you both bring up the importance of like you're part of the community and there's still a journey of figuring things out and learning it and unlearning parts of yourselves and learning who you actually are. That setting us up for this next question, when you're not even in the community, accessing education can be hard. And so what are some of the biggest misconceptions about LGBTQIA2S plus youth experiencing homelessness that y'all have encountered that you want to use this moment to dispel?
I'm more than happy to start us off with this question. I think the one that comes to mind for just like I've heard it a lot. I've heard it countless of times during my time as my journey of homelessness. But this also, like, it's not only just for the LGBT QIA2S plus community, but also just for any young person that has been experiencing homelessness or houselessness in their time, is this notion or this misconcept of we chose this lifestyle, like we choose to be homeless, like we choose to be like authentically ourselves. Like, no, that's not that's not how it works. Right? We don't choose to be homeless. Like, there's so many factors that like that's part of how our life's trajectory gets us to this place. And there are times where like for me, I'll speak for myself personally. Like in the moment while everything was happening, I thought my life was over. Right. I thought it was like, okay, this is it for me. Like, I don't have my family. I don't have my support, what was supposed to be my support system. I'm just gonna like, ball up in a corner and I'm done. Like that is it for Dash, right? That is it. That is all. But the reality is like there's like some reasons of why a lot of like LGBTQIA2S plus young people are like being pushed out of their homes due to rejection from their families, which that was my situation, right? And also abuse. That was a mix of my situation as well. And also an unsafe environment. Being in an unsafe environment, and it's not by choice, like not by choice at all. It's like I said, I had to choose between my family's reputation in our Pacific Islander community and their happiness, or for me to live authentically and be true to who I am. So those were the only choices that I thought like in the moment that I had to pick and choose on, because one, if I stay and just quote unquote conform to what they're wanting me to be, or like this straight person that's supposed to just go to school and you don't need to work whatsoever, because I'm the youngest and all my siblings are just gonna give my life to me on like a silver gold platter. I was like, that didn't sound great, because like one, that sounds miserable. Like what? I don't want to do that. So yeah, so I think that was one of the misconceptions that I've heard a lot. And I'm like, yeah, no, we don't choose to be here. We don't choose to be in the situation that we're at, and we don't choose this like lifestyle. This is who I am. Like, and I can't help it. I can't change it. You're just gonna have to deal with it. So so yeah, that's one that I'm thinking of right now.
No, absolutely. And it's, people don't realize, they see out and proud LGBTQ plus folks like us, and we they don't understand the sacrifice that goes into achieving that sense of self and individualism that we need to feel whole. And so thank you so much for explaining that out so, real for us. Mark or Marcel?
One of the biggest misconceptions, a lot of people think that it's a phase, and it's not. Because even myself, when I was in doubt, I thought it was a phase. I thought I was going to grow out of it, but when it's there, you can't change something that was already there. So I don't understand why was that a misconception, but that's one of them.
Honestly, and that kind of speak too can then be confusing for youth when they are trying to figure things out. When people tell them and question them that it might be a phase, that just sets up even more barriers to trying to find your most authentic self. And it looked like you wanted to jump in there, Marcel.
Ah, darn it. I was like, do I answer? Do I not? I think I have two. The big, like for me, I've always said like this can happen to anybody. Like their housing insecurity doesn't just happen to queer identified people. It's more, the stories you will hear are more often than not the most heartbreaking because of the fact that housing insecurity is related to our identities and our safety and our security. So the second part of that is that it's not just the trans and non-binary people of color and youth of color that this is affecting. This is affecting straight people. This is affecting people from marginalized communities. And believe it or not, you could be raised in the most prominent of households. You could have life handed to you on a silver platter, and one thing could, disrupt your Jenga house, and you're out. And there's nothing that can prepare you for it. You just have to live it and really hope and rely that the resources made available to you are ones that you will find and utilize them to their fullest extent. And on top of resources, being able to lean on the individuals and then the chosen family, i.e. Mark, that will assist you in those dark days or even on your great days. Mark has seen me through some of my worst days and some of my best days. And we've gone to many an event together, witnessed, our growth on multiple levels. I'm very, very proud of both of us. So, ka-chow.
Awesome. You are all the best. So final question, and I think this is a big one. So how can Covenant House and all of us watching today and all of our allies, what do you want folks to take away from this Pride Month to help us do better in creating spaces where LGBTQIA2S plus youth feel both safe and celebrated?
Let's not all jump in at once. Yeah. I'll just go ahead and start. That is a loaded question. I will say it is a loaded question, but I think the biggest thing, if you're listening, if you were part of the staff at Covenant House Alaska, or you're with another organization or wherever in this career journey that you're in, I think the biggest thing I would love for you to remember is building a culture of belonging, right? Wherever and however in the spaces that you are, because especially for now, like especially during that political climate that we're in, building that culture of belonging where joy, culture, community are really like woven into support, not just survival, but also to thrive, like also thriving, right? Just being that person or being that group of people that is there to really like with open arms and I wouldn't say a conditional love, more like love with no limitations, right? Like love, like showing love with no limitations, like regardless of whatever, all of the things, or in spite of all of the things, right? So I think that's one thing I would love for folks to really like build within your community, if it's in at your organization or at your job, if it's in your own little circles, small circles, like be an ally or be that person that just builds that culture of belonging for anyone, like especially for LGBTQIA2S plus folks, but most likely anyone that you come across, and any young person that you come across is like that's the biggest thing I would love for folks to really to gather from this or from this moment from myself. So yeah.
Thank you. And I want love without limitations on t-shirts and merch everywhere now. I love that. That's beautiful.
I do t-shirts too, so that's funny. I might just do it myself. So.
Mark, do you want to hop in? Because I have a TED talk prepared for this question.
I think so. So you know why when they say when life throw you lemons, you make lemonade, right? So I feel like if we all come together and paint this whole world in a rainbow, that's what we need to do. Come together as one. Because you cannot be a family and separate and be separated. Everyone works together, and that's how it's gonna work. We just have to come together, whether or not. Love is love.
That I literally have chills right now. But my favorite part of Pride is the fact that we are so many different peoples of walks of life, that we understand the power of numbers, really, and that's why I think we've gotten as far as we have, and why I know despite setbacks we're going to keep going. So thank you, Mark. Take us home, Marcel.
All right, listen up. First and foremost, I harped on it when I thought about it and I heard about this question. The biggest thing that keeps coming to my sorry that keeps coming to mind is that the first Pride was a protest. It started off with a brick that was thrown out of frustration, out of anger. and the term history repeats itself is one I love saying. Especially in this political climate, we are fed up of not being seen, not being accepted, and not being included. So for Covenant House, all organizations, anybody that says that they care about queer youth, anybody that says that they care about any and anyone, to the people with the money upstairs, put your money where your mouth is. Invest in your organizations and invest in your queer people. Invest in education for staff, for administrators, for event organizers. That way, individuals feel safe, feel seen, and are celebrated, not just during Pride Month, but all year round. To the youth, for you to feel safe, for you to feel seen and accepted, speak up. Be loud. Know that your voice matters and you have the ability to disrupt any and all conversations. And it's not just one person. I did it when I was in certain programs and I felt that I wasn't being seen or heard. I was not quiet. I was loud. I was unapologetic, and I would continue to be a force. Your identity, your being comes with power. Embrace that power and use that power to your fullest advantage. To families, to chosen families, stand up and protect your own. At the end of the day, we have each other to lean on in our worst moments and some of our best. So if you need that support, if you need that communal, I hear you, I see you, and it's not coming from these organizations, it's not coming from the people that you surround yourself with. Lean on your chosen family to uplift you and support you during your best and your worst times. And if they won't, I will, because I'm the tall one. So I gotcha. I think that answers your question, David. Hopefully, if not, I have a shipment of bricks I can go pick up, and we can just start throwing them. So you're welcome.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Marcel.
Tag me in. I'm right there.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here today. At Covenant House, we often talk about unconditional love, and maybe now we're going to be talking about love without limits. But that means showing up. That means being loud when it's easier to be quiet. That means protecting queer and trans-identified youth, not just during Pride Month, but year-round, especially now. As LGBTQIA2S+ rights continue to be unstable, it's our job to ensure that Covenant House remains a place of refuge and rebirth. So to Marcel and Mark and Dash, thank you. Thank you for your truth, your joy, and your bravery. If today's panel reminded you of the power of being seen, go see someone. If it reminded you of the cost of silence, go speak up. And if it reminded you of the strength of chosen family, go build one. Because Pride is not just a parade, it's a promise, and we keep our promises at Covenant House. Thanks, everyone.